Oh, shit. Hey YouTube, I'm just Anthony. Welcome back to another Path of Exile 2 build video. Today I want to talk about a build I've been playing in my private league that I started. We've been streaming every day on Twitch. This build is actually from another creator that goes by the name of BigDucks. I found that on Mobalytics, is a fellow Mobalytics creator. I looked at it and I said, I have to try that. And not only am I going to try it, I'm going to try it on a small private league that has a limited economy and limited item availability. And I was not disappointed. The build developed really easily and really fast. I was very happy with where the build turns out currently, which is pretty much on about a medium budget gear set, I would say. It's not even on a high tier budget currently of where the build stands. So this is a Tactician. It is taking advantage of suppressing fire, which is just all projectile builds pin, and it's fantastic. Siege Cascade as a crossbow ability, this guy right here, you aim it at one spot, but it auto targets all enemies in the vicinity of that shot with like an off-screen artillery. So it's just a screen wide clear. You instantly pin all the enemies, and with the Tactician's ascendancy, when an enemy gets pinned, they cannot take any actions. That means attack, cast spells, do anything. They just gotta stand there and die. So it's awesome that it's a layer of defense that when you group it with the Siege Cascade is also a layer of offense, because the special thing with Siege Cascade is it gains more damage against immobilized enemies, and pinning isn't immobilized. When you pin an enemy, they're immobilized. It's fantastic. It's a one button build for pretty much everything in the game, and then you drop some totems for bosses, or maybe if you're doing ritual or maybe an essence mob you're about to open. That's really it. You don't use your totems very often. It's a one button easy play style that just does all the content, and I like one button play styles. I like to just hit one button and it does everything for you. Let's jump into it though. The abilities. Our primary ability is Siege Cascade. Load your crossbow with an enemy-seeking payloads, which are fired into the air, dropping a bolt near every enemy in the target area. Everybody. And then you see here it says 280% more damage against immobilized enemies. That's fantastic. If you quality it up like I have here, it then gives it another 80% more damage against immobilized enemies. That is insane. That is so much damage. So the supports that Mr. BigDucks suggested and that I suggest might differ a little bit. I'm going to go over them. I'm using Martial Temple, Primal Armament, Acceleration, Mobility, and Execute, just because we are going to be using the Deepest Tower as our only unique item on the build. So all enemies in our presence are going to be considered low life. So you're going to get a lot of benefit from Execute. Mobility was one of the things I added to make this feel amazing. You have abilities on your skill tree that Mr. Ducks takes, and it reduces your movement penalty when you're using attack skills. When you also add mobility on top of that, your character moves so quickly while also being able to just constantly fire that payload into the sky. When you're going to do a boss, I switch out mobility for lockdown, and I switch out acceleration for fire infusion. You want to try to get as much damage on a boss as possible, especially for where I'm currently at, and the crossbow I currently have isn't the greatest crossbow in the world. If you get a way better crossbow than what I have, you should have pretty darn good single target damage, especially if you put the lockdown in and if you put the fire infusion in. Going down to the artillery ballista, I have Font of Rage, Fire Exposure, Ironwood, and Ancestral Urgency. I know on BigDucks he has, I believe, the inspiration to reduce the mana cast or cost. I have that down below in the cast on Ignite. So your other ability that you might use is emergency reload. I like to use this right when a boss gets pinned. It's usually the only time I will even push this button. The moment you see the boss get pinned, you fire your 2 shots or finish firing whatever is in the magazine. Instant reload. That means your next 2 shots or however many bolts you have in your crossbow are going to do more damage. And that is just increasing that amount of damage you're getting in that immobilized window, because when you immobilize a boss or a rare or anything, that's really the only time you're doing damage. When a boss or when an enemy is not pinned and immobilized, your damage is going to be very low. So be mindful. That is another reason why we put lockdown in place of mobility when we're fighting map bosses and such, is so we can pin them more easily, and you can pin them 2 times very quickly to try to secure that kill. Now, with the Tactician Ascendancy, they get access to 50% reduced reservation cost of persistent abilities. So we have all of these persistent abilities. I got 5 of them with only 108 spirit, and I have 5 spirit left over. So at 103 spirit, we're able to run 5 persistent abilities because of the Tactician Ascendancy. Some of these abilities go together. So I'm going to go over the first 2 abilities, Cast on Ignite and Shard Scavenger. These go together. So Cast on Ignite, we are a fire-based attack damage character. So we are igniting. We're going to be using Firestorm, Temporal Chains, Inspiration on here to make these cost less because I don't have a lot of mana, and then Impetus to just increase the energy gained to make sure they are casting enough. You could get rid of Impetus. I think for BigDucks I think uses Hinder, and that's just to support the temporal chains. I don't have enough damage where I feel like my Ignite is consistent enough and I'm generating enough energy to have Cast on Ignite proc enough the way I want it. So I did put Impetus on mine. Now, Firestorm rains bolts over the target area, ignites on enemies and corpses in front of you, are consumed to fuel the Firestorm by creating improved bolts. We do not care about Firestorm. It's not doing a lot of damage. My Cast on Ignite is level 12, therefore it only requires 106 int. I don't want to have more int than necessary. My Firestorm is level 11, so it only requires the 95 int, and you just need Firestorm to consume the Ignite. That's it. And then Temporal Chains is a nice curse to slow everything down, makes it easier to hit your Siege Cascade, and it's just a nice debuff to have to increase your defense. So the Firestorm consumes the Ignite that you're applying with your Siege Cascade. That's going to proc Shard Scavenger. Shard Scavenger says consuming Freeze, Shock, Ignite, or Fully Broken Armor instantly reloads your crossbow. So when you're using your normal ability, you're igniting enemies, you're proccing your Cast on Ignite, a Firestorm is used automatically. That Firestorm consumes the Ignite, which then procs Shard Scavenger. Shard Scavenger instantly reloads your crossbow and then makes it where all of your subsequent crossbow attacks for a duration don't use ammo. So then you have a machine gun crossbow. If this procs on a boss, like if your timing's right with your Ignite buildup and your Firestorm, you can absolutely delete a boss if it's timed perfectly. Generally, you're just going to be using this to clear the map, and when it procs, you just have a few seconds of unlimited ammo. It is so nice because you're just bombardment nonstop with no reload. The next thing is Wind Dancer. This is just a defensive layer. It's by itself. We got those Wind Dancer stacks to give us more evasion, and then if we do get hit, it does a blast around us as a defensive. It knocks enemies back, it does damage. It's fantastic, and we are an evasion armor-based character. We use armor and evasion on this build. Next two, these go together, Charge Infusion and Combat Frenzy. So Combat Frenzy, it's just gaining Frenzy Charge when you freeze, electrocute, or pin an enemy. We are constantly pinning. We constantly have frenzy charges, constantly. I'm supporting this with Precision and Profusion. And then you have Charge Infusion, which gives you 11% more skill speed while you have a frenzy charge. that's just a no-brainer. That's nice to have. That's an 11% more skill speed modifier to your build. This applies to attack speed, cast speed, warcry speed, anything. It's awesome. It is fantastic. So that is the build. That's everything you got. Moving on over to the items and the gear. So armor evasion is the build. Deepest tower is the only unique we have on the build because we are using low life, all the low life extra damage nodes on the skill tree to do as much as we can, but that's only for enemies that are in our presence. So that's why our character has to be bunched up right against enemies, bosses, rares, whatever. You want to get up in their face so you're doing the most damage. This is the crossbow that I'm using in the gameplay. It's 122% increased fizz. It's a Gemini crossbow, so it's got that implicit loads an additional bolt, which is extremely important. If you don't have a Gemini crossbow and you have a way better crossbow than this, and it has a suffix modifier that either loads 1 or loads 2 additional bolts, that is fantastic. If you could get a better crossbow than this, you still want at least load 1 additional bolt. If you don't have it load an additional bolt, it's going to feel really bad. BigDucks talks about it feeling really bad. I tested it out, and yes, it is true. He does not lie. The more bolts you get, the better. If you could get a Gemini crossbow that has the implicit loads an additional bolt and a suffix loads an additional bolt, fantastic. The plus level to projectiles is actually not as important as you might think. BigDucks covers this, where if you actually probably get like attack speed plus bolts as suffixes and then really good prefixes to just give your crossbow as much damage as possible, that is fine. That's perfect. If you can also fit in level of projectiles, that's cool as well. Or aim for critical hit chance, and then you can maybe convert the build to a critical hit build to make it even stronger against single target and against bossing. So on our offhand, we are going to just throw on another crossbow just for the projectile skills. So this is +6 level to projectiles, and that's just to support our totems. So that's literally all it's for. Jumping into the armor, this is the armor I'm using. It is a heavy armor and evasion piece that I got really lucky on this league. Got this private league, got the 3-socket corrupted. Something like this is what you're going to be looking for since you are an armor evasion character. I did not get life on the armor because I'm trying to get as much as possible. It's very important we stack up as much as possible. For the amulet, I have a mana regen amulet. +3 to all projectile skills. I fractured it. Spell damage does nothing. Some accuracy. 11% armor. Not that big of a deal. That's T7 armor. And then we have +25 all attributes. Important. Attributes are hard to get on this character. And then I have a resistance. So this is that's all it is. We have our first ring is a double damage ring, fire cold, with some life, intelligence, all elemental resistances, and leech physical attack damage as mana. Leeching is going to be very important for sustain. We have our other ring right here, the Tempest Circle Ruby. Again, physical damage, fire damage. It's got rarity. We all need rarity on our gear in some way, shape, or form. It's got fire resist implicit, intelligence, fire resist modifier, and gain 3 mana per enemy killed. I would actually not mind that being even higher than the 3 mana per enemy killed. Or of course you can get a better suffix. Going over to the gloves, we have gloves that have 2239 fire damage to attacks. Helps us out. Life, lightning resist, double leech. Leeches life, leeches mana. Very nice. Very nice. Going into the belt, armor, life, strength, some resist. This is only really a 4 mod belt. The charm charges gained, that's okay if you really need it. And then 41 to 73 physical thorns, not a big deal. 3 charm slots. It is a instant flask recovery belt. I love those personally because you could spam the flask really big. If you're in a tough situation or you're mapping and you just want to spam so you don't die, that's kind of nice. Then we have the boots as well. 30% move speed, a lot of armor and evasion, life, 24% rarity. We need that rarity. And then cold and lightning. So therefore, I have only a couple rarity pieces right now in this private league that I'm playing on. So that is the build. lots of armor, lots of evasion. Right now, I think a lot of that from this chest piece right here is very, very good chest piece, insane chest piece that I got. We are at 47% armor, 75% evasion. These can actually be better because I'm only level 90, so I don't have all the defensive nodes on the skill tree that BigDucks actually talks about. So this is actually probably going to get maybe closer to 50%, if not more, and then probably the evasion is going to get closer to 80% when you're done with the build. That is awesome. If you can get 80% evasion just about with 50% armor, that is, you're gonna feel good. And I only have 2k life, that's all, and I feel like I could take some pretty heavy hits. I was doing some simulacrum, omniphobia or Kosa's jumping on me. I was able to take an omniphobia slam when he does his leap slam. It felt great. So that is the item, that is the build. Jump over to the skill tree real quick. This is the skill tree. We have that all projectile damage builds pin. We have the pinned enemies cannot perform actions, so nothing can attack you that is a pinned. They don't get to play the game. We have the persistent buffs have 50% less reservation, and then we have the polish that gear. 100% of armor as extra stun threshold, 100% of evasion rating as extra ailment threshold. That's fantastic. Again, way more tanky. This is the build right here. You're gonna see it similar to what BigDucks uses. Don't forget to use the Mobalytics link down below, like BigDucks' Mobalytics guide. I've enjoyed this a lot. He deserves credit for it. It has been a blast. I do not have a large metamorphosis gem to recover about 7 points back that he suggests. On our private league right now, we haven't had enough Zesht kills to get that, so I do need that to recover some points. If I recovered those points, I would absolutely get these armor evasion nodes right here, feel no pain, and then I need to go down here and still get this armor evasion nodes and the leather bound gauntlets to get evasion rating per armor on equipped gloves. Be even better. But other than that, I'm pretty much mimicking his build to a T, and it is fantastic. I did talk about that movement speed penalty with skills right here. There is 20% right here, and then there's another 10% right here. So you got 30%, and then you add the 25% from the mobility skill gem that I'm using right here on the Siege Cascade, and it feels amazing. You have so much mobility that you easily can non-stop shoot while having the mobility enough to be agile, so you don't get hit by random ranged attacks, random spell casting mobs, anything like that, because that was one of the things I was having problems with, was constantly shooting and my character not being mobile enough and taking too much damage from ranged enemies. Once you get all three of these nodes right here and the mobility skill gem, that would be one of my #1 advices for your survivability to make the build feel good. But guys, that's it. Kind of a long-winded rant about the build. I just love it. It's been so much fun. I was playing the Lich, and I'm trying to get a Lich build up and going, and I created this on the side, and then I ended up loving this so much that I've been playing it way more than I expected. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give the Mobalytics guide from BigDucks some love. Give him a like. Go look at his videos, his explanation. If you have any questions, look at his video. Maybe he explains something a little bit better than me. But that's going to be it for me, guys. We have the new league coming in August, if GGG is true to their word. So look forward to that. Hopefully I can get some more guides out before then with some random builds that I'm testing. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Have a good one.